All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is March 7th, Thursday. We have a 7-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. 7th of the month, 7 games, lucky number 7. I'm feeling the vibes here, but like we always do, guys, we're gonna go through each and every one of these games. I'm gonna give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total of each game. We'll talk about any player props that I like within the game as well, but as always, all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with myself, I will list those in the pinned comments, so make sure to keep an eye on that if you do want to fade me and do the opposite of my picks. In terms of last night, it was a mad night. We go 3-3. The good news is one of our losses was a half-unit loss. It was Alpi Sengun, under 36.5 PRA, and you know what? I mean, he had like 36 in the first 3 minutes of the game, so what a terrible look there. But in terms of our good looks, Hawks money line, we got challenged in the comments yesterday. I liked it. They cashed. Warriors minus 3.5. A lot of people on the Bucks. Warriors end up pulling that one out. I think they won by was it 30? And then our same game parlay, which was Ayo Dosunmu over 0.5 threes and John Collins over 0.5 threes. Glad we brought Dosunmu down to 0.5 there, because that one cashes. He didn't have the best of shooting lights, but nonetheless, a 3-3 night. Not gonna kill us, but nothing that we're writing home about celebrating, right? And unfortunately, the vibe has to take a turn for the worse here. The ride of the day streak from Lalo comes to an end. Jabari Smith Jr. over 8.5 rebounds. I mean, Sengun got every rebound in that game, so I don't blame him for not getting 9 rebounds here, but he finishes shy of that mark, meaning Lalo's ride of the day streak comes to an end. It was 3 wins in a row. This was the 4th potentially, and it doesn't come through. But shout out to Lalo for the 3-game win streak, or the 3-day win streak here. If you guys do not know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me some bangers in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick and giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shouting you out over on my Twitter at EvGuyBoston and on my Instagram at EvPicks with a Z. Both of those will be rotating right here throughout the video. Make sure you are following me on Instagram, because we're posting a lot of DFS, like prize picks plays, chalkboard sleeper plays, and we absolutely have cleaned those up in the last couple nights. So make sure you follow me on Instagram at EvPicks, EvPickz, spelling bee champ. But guys, use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick, and like we've been doing as of late, if you hit, we continue to ride with your pick until the wheels fall off and you get multiple shout outs. So drop those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. All right, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's get cruising. Let's get the crowd noise pumped in for some good luck and good vibes here, and let's dive into probably the worst game on today's NBA slate, but I don't decide the order, even though I could. I don't. Detroit taking on Brooklyn here. Detroit getting 2 points at home. Total sitting at 216. Before we jump into the game, can we talk about how, like what a spit in the Nets face as to where this team has, dropped to. 2-point favorites over the Pistons. Now, they are a little bumped and bruised. Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, out. Sharp is questionable. Ben Simmons is out, so it's like, yeah, I get it, they're injured, but come on, man, this is a team that has fallen so far, and for that reason, just reading this line, I am going to look at Detroit in this one. No matter how you want to cut up this game, Brooklyn should be a better team than Detroit, yet bookmakers come in here and say, yeah, you know what, let's give you +2. In fact, it opened up at +3, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, that's a little bit too much points. We got too many people come in on a Pistons +3. Drop it to 2. So reading that line there, I like the Pistons in the spot. Does it become a final play? Only if we're psycho, but we've done crazier, right? So we shall see. Keep an eye on that pinned comment. In terms of the total here, this is one where I do think that, so first off, I'm going to lean towards the under. But I do think that under could get broken very easily if Detroit starts to control the pace and whatnot, because both these teams not the best transition defenses over their last 10 games. They're actually on the season either, right? So it does get a little worrisome if this game starts to break out in some sort of a transition format. For example, Detroit has hit this over to this line in 7 of their last 10 games, whereas Brooklyn's just kind of 50-50 to it. So I'm hoping this one stays under. I don't think that even has a chance of being a final play, because like I said, I could see some transition happening in this game, but nonetheless, guys, no player props that I'm really eyeing in this game either. Again, it's not the best slate, not the most sexy game on the slate, so it is what it is at this point. Next up, we have the Pacers taking on the Timberwolves. No Karl Anthony Towns in this one. That's obviously a major blow to the Timberwolves and probably impacts the line as to why they're underdogs in this spot. I'm still going to lean towards the Timberwolves. And I don't know why. I see the comments too. Like, I think you guys think I have some like asphyxiation or whatever the word is with like hating on the Pacers, but they just haven't really like truly proven it to me yet. And it stinks because like I bet Dallas against them, right? The Pacers smacked Dallas around again. It's like, I just need to see a little bit more from this Pacers team and see them, you know, do more as they are fully healthy before I start to back them against a team like the Timberwolves, who, yes, they're missing Karl Anthony Towns, but, you know, you have Gobert, you have Anthony Edwards. Like, they could still kind of go toe-to-toe. Like, you know, they win probably I guess they probably win the center matchup to some degree defensively, and they win that two-guard matchup. Mike Conley, Tyrese Halliburton, obviously you're going to give the nod to Halliburton. Pascal Siakam over Anderson, you probably give it to Siakam, and then Nesmith and McDaniels can be kind of a toss-up. So this is sort of still a matchable lineup. But if someone's on the Pacers, I totally get it. I just don't necessarily love this spot for them. Minnesota has really kind of owned this matchup. Last 5 meetings here, Minnesota has won, and 4 of those 5, the last 4 they have covered, and 2 of those have been in Indiana, where this Pacers team, yes, has been playing well. 57% of games this year they've covered when at home, but the Timberwolves on the road here covering in 52% of games. Now, they're not the same type of team as they are on the road as they are at home, but still, giving me a 1.5 for one of the better defenses in the league, I'll take it. So, yeah, maybe I do hate the Pacers without even knowing it, like, subconsciously, because I don't. I like a lot of those guys on the team. Like, Miles Turner's been a guy that's been ragged on for years. I've always wished he was a Boston Celtic, my favorite team. So, I do like that Pacers team. I never seem to agree with their spread lines, which maybe I'm the dummy in the room, right? In terms of a total, 228 in this spot. If I think the Timberwolves still manage to kind of lean on their defense and keep this game somewhat close, I think they kind of temper this Pacers pace. I do think that I'm going to lean towards the Timberwolves and the under in this spot. In terms of player props here, there's one that I like. Unfortunately, he's hit it in both games without Karl Anthony Towns that he's played in this season, but I'm taking a peek at Mike Conley here, under 2.5 3-pointers made. I just don't necessarily see the volume being there. The issue, and it is a damn big issue, guys, over the last 7 games, no team has allowed more 3-pointers to the point guard position than the Pacers. So matchup doesn't look all that great as of late, right? But on the season, they're allowing, I believe it's the 4th fewest threes, 3rd fewest threes to opposing point guards, and the fewest threes to just overall teams. So, you know, it's a season-long, big sample size, good matchup. As of late, looks like the Pacers, their 3-pointers to the point guards have not been one of their strong suits, but I'm trusting the larger sample size, trusting the season data, and trusting that, you know, maybe Anthony Edwards gets going even more, and you know, Mike Conley's like, all right, just pass, without Karl Anthony Towns being in there. But again, asking for Mike Conley to take that many threes is still a lot. He's only averaging 5 attempts on the season here. And in his last 20 games, that drops to below 5. I think he's shooting 4-point-something attempts. So he'd have to make 75% of his attempts to hit 3 threes in this spot. I don't mind it whatsoever, even without Karl Anthony Towns out. All right, next we have Dallas taking on Miami. Dallas 4.5-point favorites in this spot. I believe this line opened up right around there too, but has since dropped. I think it was 5.5, and clearly people are coming in with those Heat tickets, and the sportsbooks adjusted to 4.5 here. So it would tell you a lot of people think the Heat are good to go in this game. But this is going to be my last sort of shot with Dallas. We've bet Dallas a lot as of late, and they really haven't been clutching up for us. Luka has, but Dallas hasn't. So I am going to lean towards Dallas in what should be a get-right spot here. And this game's going to go one of 2 ways. Like, it's pretty simple in my brain. Either it's going to be defensive and Miami controls the game, or Dallas is going to be able to outpace and outscore Miami's, you know, offense. So I'm going to lean towards the latter and say that this game is a little bit more offensive with Dallas being at home. But if you're on the Miami side of things, like, I'm not trying to talk you off of it. This is a Miami team that is red hot. No pun intended, being the Heat. And it's a Dallas team that's really in like a weird losing streak. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, and they're against some good teams, but also some teams that they should be beating. And the way that they're losing, they're kind of getting smacked around. They lost by 20 plus to the Celtics. They lost by 17 to Indiana. They lost by 20 plus to Indiana the first time. Like, this Dallas team is kind of weird, and they're not that injured, right? Like Maxi Kleber's probable, Luka's probable. He's been in the injury report for forever. If he doesn't play, I don't like the Mavs anymore, obviously. And you have a Miami team here who, no Kevin Love, and the big one would be no Tyler Hero, but they've been okay with the injuries. So I get it if you like Miami. I just think I'm going to lean towards the offensive side of things in this game. Last time these two teams played, Miami won, but that was back in April of last year, so we can't really put too much stock into it. Give me the Dallas team here minus the 4.5. In terms of the total, I have to consider the over if I like Dallas, though I don't think I would touch it with a 10-foot pole because Miami is in this game. They've gone under that line in 9 of their last 10 games. Dallas has gone over that line in 8 of their last 10, so we got to keep that in mind. But if I think Dallas kind of comes to play here and plays well, I think that they do up the pace in this spot. And honestly, even though this should be a very good game, I don't have many player props that I'm loving in this spot. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we come up with anything. But as of right now, pretty dry. All right, guys, let's take a break for a second to talk to you about OddsJam. I've talked to you about them plenty before in the past, and I'm here to do it again. Right now, we're on the sportsbook screen, which is pretty much what they say it is, the sportsbook screen. You can literally compare all odds for all plays to damn near all sportsbooks to make sure you're getting the best line out there. For example, you have the column of best odds and average odds. If you're taking this play over on Caesars or something, you're like, oh, well, that's not the best odds. It's also not the average, right? We're on player points right now, but you can look at this for, total points for, the total of the game. You can compare all the games that they have out right now. You can look at it from a point spread perspective. If this is too many sportsbooks, you're like, wow, I don't even care about those sportsbooks. You can filter it down to whatever sportsbooks you want. They just happen to have a million in there. That's one tool that I really like. Another tool, and we'll do it here kind of live, is this parlay builder. You can mathematically build a parlay here. So let's say we want to build a DraftKings parlay, right? So we'll do DraftKings, 3 legs, sure. League, we'll do NBA. Minimum odds, sure, we can do plus 200. Best parlay, hell yeah. And all you have to do is click show me my parlay, and let's see what we got here. Isaiah Stewart against the Knicks over 0.5 blocks. Mikal Bridges here, 20.5 points. Was that over 20.5 points? And then the Miami Heat team total under 17.5 there. It's a 252 parlay over on DraftKings. Maybe we ride with it. We'll check it out, guys. We'll recap it tomorrow. But yeah, this OddsJam tool is very, very cool. They have tons of stuff like the positive EV tool, like the arbitrage tool, and like the sportsbook screen tool. But you can see all of these tools that they have over here. They also have a fantasy optimizer as well if you're on Prize Picks and stuff like that. So go check out OddsJam, guys. I have a link in the pinned comment, as well as you're able to use Guy Boston. You get 2 different deals there. So if you use the link, you get 7 days free. If you use code Guy Boston when signing up for a subscription, you get 25% off. It's an absolute no-brainer. Go check it out at least for the 7 days, right? Go check out OddsJam. Now let's jump back into the slate. All right, next up, we got the Suns hosting the Raptors here. The Suns minus 10.5 at home. The Raptors have been a very inconsistent team, obviously, and so has Phoenix, but they are coming off a nice win against Denver. Maybe they put some building blocks together here. I'll lean towards the Suns. They look like they should be, without Devin Booker again. But Toronto's obviously banged up too. No Jakob Poeltl, no Bruce Brown, and no Scotty Barnes. So I just can't trust Toronto without those guys being there. Yes, they've pulled some wins together, but their only win in the last 4 games was Charlotte. Those injuries are going to matter to them a hell of a lot. We saw what New Orleans did to them, 139-98. No interior presence either. So yeah, give me the Suns in this spot. I don't know if I pull the trigger because that is obviously a pretty damn high line at 10.5. This is still, let's not forget, we're talking about a Suns team that has been a little head scratching just overall, right? Especially without Booker. I don't want to get blinded by the light that is the fact that we saw them win without Booker against Denver. We can't put too much weight into that. But nonetheless, I do like this spot. I also don't mind the under in this spot. The Suns haven't been playing with crazy pace. In fact, to this number, they've hit it in 7 of their last 10. And the Raptors, I just don't see the pace coming through. Yes, they had a very high-scoring game against the Pacers, but that's because, the Pelicans. That's because the Pelicans scored 139. They didn't even reach 100. So I expect this to be potentially a similar spot. I just hope that the Suns don't go for 139, right? So give me the under in this spot. And then in terms of a player prop, I have a matchup that I'm targeting here. One I like a lot and one I just kind of like. We'll start with the one that I kind of like. Yusuf Nurkic over 14.5 points. So that's a high line for him, but they're obviously looking at the lack of interior presence on the Raptors side of things, right? So I don't mind taking a peek at that. The problem is if we kind of compare him to Valanciunas, who I really liked a couple days back, what if the pace kind of outpaces Nurkic and he's not running with these guys, right? They don't necessarily need a big man to beat this beaten and bruised Raptors team. So there's a worry there. But on the same note and same matchup, I like Kelly Olynyk under 7.5 rebounds in this spot. I do think that, Nurkic should be able to bully ball him. And even in, I think it was like, near 30 minutes of play, he only had 6 rebounds against the Pelicans there. So whether they go big or they go small, I do think that Kelly Olynyk isn't the most ferocious rebounder. We should know that by now. So I'll consider him on the under. In terms of like his assists and whatnot, I would actually think that, he has a chance for plus 115 odds to have 6 or more assists. So also a consideration, but you can't really put your money on Kelly Olynyk to assist, right? Like that seems kind of crazy. So I'm going to stick to under and rebounds in this spot. All right, we got the Nuggets taking on the Celtics. I'm trying so hard to not be biased here. I don't know if this is a biased pick, but I do like the Celtics. Like, I don't want to let one game on the road kind of change our opinion of how good this team had been playing. Denver and the Celtics both coming off of losses, so this should be a game in which they are just eager to win, and you'd think that that leads towards an over. I think this game actually goes under because they treat this like it's a finals game, like it's a finals preview, that type of thing. So I like the Celtics and the under in this spot. I know it could be kind of crazy because now I'm fading Denver off a loss at home, which doesn't seem like the best spot, but I just can't forget how well the Celtics were playing prior to this, right? The last time they played was, about a month and a half ago. It was a 102-100 win for the Nuggets. So I think that this is a low-scoring game. I probably like the under more than I do even taking the Celtics because I can 100% see the side of things for Denver in this spot being like, yeah, you lost a game in which you're 8.5-point favorites. You lost by 10. I mean, the Celtics lost a heartbreaker. You can make an argument which one stings a little bit more, right? And it stings a little bit worse. So I'll lean towards the Celtics. I get it if you're on Denver here. In terms of player props, we kind of got to hypothetically speak here because we don't have many player props available. Jaylen Brown on the injury report for the Celtics here. It looks like Denver's pretty healthy, but we're waiting on some Celtics player prop lines. I'm considering Kristaps Porzingis again for his three-pointers made. I know it's been something that we've hammered plenty of times, and I think you might get good odds on this one, and it's kind of the reason I'm considering it. It's because Denver allowing the fewest amount of threes to opposing centers on the entire season here. So, yeah, I know that might sound kind of crazy being like, well, I like Kristaps in it, but Kristaps over 1.5 threes has been cashing, and it's been so juiced as of late that it's damn near unplayable. We got a good line the other night against the Cavs, right? But like I said, it's just been pretty damn unplayable. So I do think that if they're playing the number one defense team against center threes, maybe this is a good spot, right, for him to be able to make 2 of them. I think he had 3 the first time they played this season back in January. So it's like, do it again, and we might have some value on the odds. I'd also consider Jaylen Brown's over 2.5 assists. Do I love to bet on him assists-wise? No, but, sneaky on the season, he's hit this in 68% of games. He's hit it in 14 of his last 20, 8 of his last 10, and 3 straight games. So he is trending, but a lot of those games, I'll admit, he's ending at 3 assists. This isn't a guy that's going to have too much volume. He's also questionable in this spot, so we don't want to pull the trigger on him just yet. All right, we got the Warriors taking on the Bulls. This is a tough one because of that spread number. That is a big number, to be completely honest. The Bulls coming off of a win last night. It was a weird one. We had the -3.5 and a bench player that wasn't even dressed for the game, Torrey Craig, and a coach got technical fouls at the end of the game to kind of put that one to bed. But how crazy is that? Like that is just like a curse or something like that. But nonetheless, we're not here to complain or make excuses about losses from last night. We're on to a new day. I do think that this is a big number, but I got to trust the Warriors. Looking amazing last night at home, 125-90 against the Bucks. Chicago, again, they did get the win, but it was kind of like an absolute heart-pounding win. Maybe they're kind of dreary after that or groggy. So give me Golden State, even though I don't love that number, laying 7 points. In terms of a total, 225, 224.5 actually. I'm going to lean towards the over because I think that if Golden State can get to, 110 or something like that, I think that Chicago will follow suit. Like we even saw it last night. Chicago, who's been playing good defense and at a slow pace, allowed 117 to Utah. Golden State can play with some pace, but has a more efficient offense than even Utah. So I think that we see a little bit of a higher scoring game. And just, for what it's worth, on the road this season, Chicago's cashing 55% of their overs. And if we want to look at both these teams on a back-to-back, Golden State, 67% of the games on back-to-backs they've covered this season, and Chicago has only covered on 50, so it's kind of a toss-up for them. And from an over-hitting rate on back-to-backs, Golden State, 62% of their games have gone over on back-to-backs. Chicago, 60% of their games have gone over on back-to-backs. So I do think there's a lot of data here pushing towards an over. And then my player props are a little wonky, I guess. I'm looking at Brandon Pajemski, over 3.5 assists. Over his last 10 games here, he's averaging 8.1 potential assists per game, and that dude will delegate. Like he truly will. So he'll get the ball and delegate, I guess. Now, the issue is if he comes off the bench or if Clay starts, that's the type of thing, because we do want him to play plenty of minutes. But as of late, Clay goes to the bench, and I think Clay may be starting in this game based on some of the lineup reports I have. I don't love it that much if he comes off the bench, because then it's kind of a wild card as to how much are you going to play. Because I want him to play, 28 plus. If he gets, and he has this season, gets some of those 25-minute runs or something like that, not the most sexy or appealing pick to me. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. All right, we got the Kings taking on the Spurs. I'll jump right out and say, give me the Spurs plus the points in this spot. The line movement goes against this pick, so I can entirely understand it, but what I will say is this is a Kings team that has struggled on back-to-backs. 33.3% cover rate on backs-to-backs this season. Backs-to-backs, am I saying that right? In terms of injuries here, they do, Victor Wembanyama is out. But again, I'm fading the Kings. I'm not betting, this sounds stupid, but I'm not betting on the Spurs. I'm fading the Kings, okay? So in terms of a lean here, I'm not even considering the Kings minus the 11 points. Taking the Spurs plus the 11. In terms of the total here, I do think that this one has a chance of going over. It's just a little bit too high of a line for me, so I'm going to lean towards the under here, but it's definitely not my favorite spot whatsoever. And without Wembanyama in the lineup, that's where this game could get fairly interesting. Looking at some of these spots like Sabonis being able to score, or even De'Aaron Fox getting to the rim. So I don't mind some of these spots for the Kings here being able to score in the paint, like a Keegan Murray who, is going to hang out on the three-point line plenty and whatnot, but with no big shot blocker down there, I could see him getting to the hole and putting up some points. So I'd consider some overs for points for Sacramento, but again, I don't really love Sacramento's spot here. On a back-to-back, laying 11 points, it just seems a little bit too much to me, even without Wemby in the game, which may sound crazy, but it is where my head is at here. Guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment 22 if you made it this far into the video. That's how I'm able to suss out, the real ones and the guppies, because when we do that, so many people... Did my light I don't even know what just happened. There's a ghost in here. But so many people be like, what's 22 about? And it's like, if you know, you know. And I'll leave you guys with that, all right? Keep an eye on that pinned comment for all the final plays. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.